Our speaker with us tonight is Reverend Jeremy McDonald. It's been a while since Reverend Jeremy was here with us. We're happy to have him back on the platform. He's an accomplished spiritual healer and teacher. He's been a public speaker for over 14 years and has designed and delivered many workshops to assist individuals, helping them find peace and joy in their lives. Looking from the inside soul's perspective, they are able to overcome fears and alchemize them into love. His clients find balance, peace, and joy in true sublime self-love. Reverend Jeremy is a Reiki master, EFT practitioner, Theta healing practitioner, and life coach. He has served as a keynote speaker for everything from expos, colleges, professional conferences, to small workshops in a living room. Reverend Jeremy also hosts his own online radio show. It's called Soul Talk on V109fm.com, which discusses the transitory experience of knowing one's soul from the inner perspective. Guests include spiritual practitioners, scientists, medical doctors, musicians, and artists, having conversations of the soul, coming together to enjoy the rewards of the soul driven by spirit and guided by the awareness of self. Tonight, he is talking about on infinite oneness. Please help me welcome Reverend Jeremy McDonald to the platform.
Thank you, everybody. And this time, I'm going to try not to hit the microphone like I did the last time. How's everybody doing? Great. Good, I'm glad. I have a show of hands, just a revelation I was having probably over the last month or so. All of you in this room have probably been studying spiritualism or metaphysics or healing for a great number of years. Am I correct? And even if you haven't done it in this lifetime, you've been doing it for eons in different lifetimes. Am I correct? Just raise your hands. So, well, have you also experienced this in your lifetime? You've been studying for many, many years, but in your mind, you feel like you just started yesterday. Has anybody ever experienced that sensation? Has anybody ever experienced the sensation where you didn't give yourself enough credit for what you've studied? Ever experienced that before? So I just turned 40 on March 3rd, and thank you. And why I want to share that with you is that I had a profound experience because I was redesigning my website and I was putting everything together, and I had to stop and think. And as Sarah was putting together the bio, I was like, how long have I been coaching and developing people and putting all of it together? And I had to get honest with myself. I've been doing it for over 20 years. And so since I was about 18 years old. And I laughed at myself because in my mind, I was still about 22 years old. Didn't have that 20 some odd years experience. Has anybody ever experienced that before in their life? Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's a huge epiphany. And I just was thinking about it's a great segue into the topic today because infinite oneness, when you really think about it, is unlimited potential. And it's the oneness of all of us. We all come together in oneness. And even though we have separate experiences, those experiences really aren't that separate. And so when we minimize ourselves or don't allow ourselves to grow up to the potential or experience that we are or we've had, what do? We minimize everything else. We minimize all the people around us. Right, we're all one, am I correct? So here's what I want to say to you, that if I'm a gifted speaker and a healer, so are all of you. Because we all came together and we attracted each other in this moment. Everybody feel that? So, and the greatest gift is that not only am I a teacher, but you are teachers too. And this is one of the most profound things that happened to me. I was speaking to a group. It was probably about 400 or 500 people at a church on tour a couple of years ago. And I saw all those people in front of me. I'd seen this before, but this was really profound. And I looked at it and I said, I'm not really the teacher here. I'm actually the student. And I got 400 teachers in front of me. And because when you really think about the infinite possibilities that we all are, it really brings you to a point of being very humble. Everybody feel that? It's just really a gift when you really think about it. And it was interesting because I said my birthday was there, and if you notice that my voice is a little bit raspy, it's because I actually was sick on my birthday with 102 temperature. And I will tell you that even though nobody likes to be sick, it's a gift because I get to rest on my birthday. I get to do something out of the box that on my birthday. I went out to have dinner with my friends, and I went back home, and I went back to bed. You know, and I was this milestone birthday. I was planning on going out and getting martinis with my friends, and I had a church that wanted me to speak there. I was like, no, you can't do that. That's my birthday. So I'm not going to be doing that. And so I want to share that with you because everything in the moment is perfect. Even in the times when we think it's not perfect, we just look at those moments and love it. And so we just sang the Lord's Prayer, and in there it says, we forgive our debtors, and our debtors forgive. Am I correct, that part? And so we love every aspect of what our experience is. We speak our truth. We go in the moment, but we just love every aspect. So what I love about infinite oneness in the subject I'm talking about, as a matter of fact, I opened this book up today because I was thinking about some of the things I was going to talk about, and it's a friend of mine that gave me this book, and they had originally bought it for their partner, and it said in a post-it note here, it says, "You are my center when I spin away out of control." And what does it have on the bottom of the post-it note but an infinity sign? And what am I talking about tonight? Well, this is the Tao, and I wanted to read a part of the Tao, and it says in here, "Success is as dangerous as failure. Hope is as hollow as fear." What does it mean that success is as dangerous as failure? Whether you go up the ladder or down it, your position is shaky. When you stand with your 2 feet on the ground, you will always keep your balance. So at first I'm reading this, I was like, what do you mean success? It threw me off here a little bit. And then it says, when you go on to say, it goes, what does it mean that hope is as hollow as fear? And that just threw me off because I was taught all my life that hope is profound and it's something that we all need. And then it goes on and said, hope and fear are both phantoms that arise from thinking of the self. When we don't see the self as self, what do we have to fear? See the world as yourself. Kind of twists your mind a little bit. And then it says, have faith in the way things are. Love the world as yourself. Then you can care for all things. Meaning, if you know that you're all one and everything is infinite potential, and that everything is in flow of the divine nature that is within you, then what do you have to fear? All experiences are a part of the divine nature of everything, and everything is in divine flow. And you are already successful. You don't need hope because everything is profoundly in favor for you. A friend of mine told me years ago, I was going through a lot of problems, and she said to me, Jeremy, believe that the universe is plotting to do you good. And I wasn't in that space. I was very much in a victim mindset. Matter of fact, I found it very interesting that this particular sanctuary has been my spiritual home for a very, very long time, actually. When I was 32, my back was so much pain that I couldn't get out of bed. I had a lot of trouble getting out of bed. I can say that 8 years later, I don't have that problem. I do have pain, little bits of pain, but not like it was. 32-year-olds shouldn't have that kind of pain in their back. Nobody in this room should have that kind of pain in their back, to be honest with you. Age is just a number. It's an illusion that we believe in. You are all infinitely been around for a very, very long time. A very, very long time. And so our physical age is a fragment in what we are. So I share that story with you, and I'm very grateful for this sanctuary because I had to think about that as my very first past life regression experience was at this temple in 1999. And my 2 greatest spiritual teachers came out of this temple and taught me very lovingly, but they were very stern women in some ways because they didn't let me get away with anything. And taught me a great deal about what it was like to love people, not be in judgment, and open myself up, and not be in judgment of myself, and not live in limitation. So you guys see the cycle of how this works? They teach me, and then I go out and teach, and you teach, and then you go out and teach somebody else, and the cycle never ends. That's where we become this infinite consciousness. And so it's very profound, because then there's people that come down here from other states and live here through the winter. And then guess what they do? They get to take all these experiences up where they're from, and then they get to share that up in their other parts of the country or other parts of the world. And we're all just in this amazing experience. Do you guys feel the love when I walked in here and I got a healing from one of the healers, just very much a blessing, this healer. And I felt this very warm presence that came from her. And then where is she drawing off that? She's drawing off of that from the Holy Spirit, from God, from the divine nature that's within her. And then she's allowing that to flow through her. Our physical, we still want to honor that and be in a presence in the now of the moment with our physical, with our three-dimensional world. I would never tell you all to forget about your three-dimensional world, because it's very much a part of who you are. But it's not the only part of who you are. So I just want to do a really quick exercise, and I'm not sure how I'm doing on time, but I want to just really quick exercise. Okay, just make sure. So everybody, I would like you all just to drop down really quick, not a meditation. I just want you to get your mind calm, and I want you to drop down into any part of your body. It doesn't matter. Just drop down. What I want you to pay more attention to is not the physicality of who you are, but I want you to pay attention to the presence and the essence of who you are. Meaning, feel the flow of energy in your body. And when you're actually down in your body, I'll clue you in on something. You're not really in your body. You're in the presence of all of your consciousness. As you're doing that, I want you to breathe in this loving energy in this temple, and just breathe it in. Breathe in the essence of the beauty of this temple. And fill your essence with that love. And then as you breathe out, you're going to give back that essence. So the symbiote flow relationship between you and everybody in this temple. You are now one with this building, one with the spirits, one with the essence of everything that is here. A show of hands, does everybody feel that peace? That's oneness, my friends. And then when we go into that presence of strife and stress and backaches and pains in our body, that's when we start to fragment ourselves and go into separation. But even when you go into separation and fragmented states, you want to love that aspect of yourself. That's what's pretty cool. So what happens is we get out of balance and we make mistakes, and then we beat ourselves up about it. So then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy of beating yourself up, getting out of balance, beating yourself up, and then it's a never-ending story, much like what I was telling you at the beginning, where I didn't allow myself to realize what I'd done all my life, what I'd studied for, what the universe had prepared me for. And the universe has prepared each one of you. I just had the rare gift of speaking with a friend in the last month that I hadn't spoken to in 4 years. Our last conversation was basically not very nice. And I ended up walking into a room and seeing her, and we sat down and we've been processing all the misconceptions that were in our mind. And I looked right at her and I said, you know what, I'm going to tell you on my side what happened is I minimized myself in comparison to you. And so therefore my ego took over and went into its egoic state or its arrogant state and constantly snapped at you, and that's not loving. And for that I apologize. And I am so sorry for doing that. And then she was stunned. She never realized. She goes, I've always just thought of you as my equal. I said, well, I didn't think of myself as equal. And that was about me, not about you. And it's time for us all to start being open about this stuff, because each one of us does this on some level. It's time for us to stand up and say, hey, guess what? I have pain inside of me, and the only way it comes out is if you get truly honest about it. And the only way for us to come back into oneness is to start looking at the truth within ourselves. The spiritual teachers, the ones that stand up here, the healers, the ones that give messages, they're all very beautiful, but they went through the trials and tribulations too. The experiences, they're beautiful experiences when you really think about it. I would never trade anything on my life that happened before this day. And I've lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. I've spent tons of money. I've been not nice to people. I've been loving to people. I've most of all not been nice to myself. And these are the things that we really want to look at, because until we understand that, we cannot get into that infinite potential. Just love yourself. Love the bad, the good, the in-between, the nuts, whatever you want to, the things that make you want to go, ugh. Those things. The things that make you get really happy. Love those too. It's really a cool experience down here. And I'm telling you this because I spent a good number of years in a church when I was being raised, and everything was about what was wrong with the world in that particular church. And then later on, I came forward and I became a conspiracy theorist. And then it was all about I needed to reveal the truth about what was going on in the world. And even though those things might be going on in this world, we want to be the stillness in the storm. A true person that can meditate and gets very still, they can see the chaos and not be engaged in the chaos. Has anybody ever experienced that before? You'll see something crazy going on, but you feel a tremendous amount of compassion for what's going on, but you're not emotionally engaged. Has anybody ever experienced that before? Absolutely. You have an empathy for it, but you're not going to go and get torn up, and you're not going to go to hell with them. That's really, I wrote an article about it 2 months ago called Don't Go to Codependent Hell with People. And it was because people want you to go in there. There's what's called a tribal mentality, where, somebody does something and I go up to Dory and I say, Dory, did you hear what Rich Davis said? And I start talking, and then Jeremy, that's horrible. And then you go and tell somebody else. Then Rich starts talking. I'm just using names, by the way. I'm playing, so nobody's ever said anything. I'm just giving an example. Have you guys ever experienced that? This person says that. That's what I refer to as a tribal mentality. You got people getting on your side, and then you start going like this and like, I knew I was right. That right there, you've just blocked yourself from the potential of understanding who that person is. The woman I was telling you about, the friend from 4 years ago, we did just that. I had my mother on my side and this person on my side, and I just laughed because we're healers. And then we had these camps. We were like Democrats and Republicans. And we're all fighting and screaming at each other and talking behind each other back. And then when we sat down and talked 4 years later, when we were ready, when our egos were ready to face each other, then we've been laughing for the past month. I'm like, is that really what you meant? She goes, yeah. I was like, this is how I took that. And then she's doing the same thing with me. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry for the misunderstanding. Has anybody ever experienced this with a friend or a family member and then end up losing years with this person? And so we miss out on so much. And I'm going to tell you what, here's what's amazing. I'm amazing for the fact that she was such a great teacher for me that I could go on this 4-year journey without her and then come back. And then I did my homework and she did her homework. And then we got to come back and graduate from this part of college. And so it becomes this different experience. And now it's opened up the potential. And when we get these huge releases, we really open up to all of consciousness and allow consciousness to go back into flow even more. If you are infinite beings and you release, do you have any idea what that does for the entire universe? When you let go, it pushes everything into a greater conscious flow state. And it's really, you can almost feel it. It's like when you guys got really quiet there, did you guys feel the energy just flowing out from you? Absolutely. Because we can not only talk to spirit, but we are spirit. It's all right here. And it's deep within you. It's pretty incredible. I'm not going to take up too much of your time because I feel like energy is closing for this, but I just really want to say I really appreciate this temple for everything it's done for me and for the energy that you guys hold here. And thank you for letting me speak and be here with you because it's very healing for me as well. And thank you.